As the 20th century opened, humanity stood proud at the peak of its own invention, believing that progress had no cost but effort. In the United States, the Progressive Era ushered in reform and regulation, with President Theodore Roosevelt championing national parks even as railroads, industry, and agriculture continued to devour the frontier. Henry Ford built the Model T, setting the world on wheels and nature on borrowed time. Across the globe, imperial powers carved the earth with steel and smoke, from the Russo-Japanese War to the brutal grip of colonial administrations in Africa and Asia. Artists like Pablo Picasso shattered visual traditions, while philosophers questioned the soul of modernity, but few asked what was vanishing beyond the city walls. Humanity had begun to take notice of its impact. Conservation societies formed, laws were drafted, but their reach lagged behind the pace of expansion. Museums filled with specimens, forests emptied with silence. The wild did not fall all at once. It was disassembled, zone by zone, in the name of order, economy, and the killing expansionism of human will.
Under the shadowed forests and rugged highlands stretching from the Caucasus to the Black Sea, once wandered the great Caucasian moose. Towering and elusive, this subspecies of moose stood as a silent sovereign of mist-laced valleys, with long, muscular limbs and palmate antlers that swept wide like the branches of an ancient tree. First described by zoologist Nikolai Kuzmich Vereshchagin in 1955, its classification has been debated, some questioning whether its form and nature truly diverged from the European moose. Its extinction story is familiar, but no less tragic. By the mid-19th century, the booming of rifles echoed through its habitat, and the Caucasian moose began to vanish, not in cataclysm but in quiet attrition, overhunted for meat, hide and misguided glory. By the early 20th century, it had faded entirely from the living world. It once stood among a hierarchy of formidable predators, the ghostly Caspian tiger, the Persian leopard, steppe wolves and Asiatic lions. Now, its name exists only in record and memory, a lost echo in the tapestry of a region where stone and forest still whisper of its passage. Slipping once through the dry forests of St. Croix, the St. Croix racer was a sleek and agile predator, its smooth, sun-glinting scales arranged in precise symmetry across its long, lithe body. Endemic to this single Caribbean island, it thrived in arid woodland, hunting among fallen leaves and sun-baked stones. But the racer met a swift and silent decline, its fate likely sealed by the introduction of mongooses and the steady erosion of its habitat under human expansion. Though unseen for over a century, whispers linger in the underbrush, suggesting that a handful still race the wind, hidden in the island's shrinking wilds. Beneath the cold, crystalline waters of Lake Geneva once shimmered the Grevenche, a slender whitefish gliding through the depths in quiet schools, feeding on drifting clouds of zooplankton. Its life was benthopelagic, hovering just above the lake bed, spawning with the winter chill in mid-December. Fished relentlessly alongside the now extinct Fera, it became a cornerstone of local harvests until nets grew heavy with silence instead of silver. By the early 20th century, overfishing and nutrient pollution had erased it from the lake's depths, leaving behind no preserved specimens. On the wind-swept cliffs and forested caves of Lord Howe Island, a shadow once fluttered through the dusk, the Lord Howe long-eared bat, known only by a single skull cradled in the limestone of a coastal cavern. Thought to descend from wind-blown ancestors of the Australian mainland, this insectivorous mammal likely hunted in the undergrowth beneath palms and ferns, a silent guardian of twilight. Its disappearance, shrouded in silence, is blamed on shipwrecked rats that gnawed through its world and the owls introduced to devour the invaders, but which instead turned their talons toward the island's native wings. The leafshell was a species of freshwater mussel, an aquatic bivalve mollusk in the family Unionidae, the river mussels. This species was endemic to the United States, where it was found in the major drainages of the Ohio River. Its natural habitat was flowing water. Like most other members of this sensitive genus, it became extinct early after industrialization due to habitat loss and pollution. The last living individual was seen in the year 1900. It appears to be most closely related to Epioblasma lewisii, which is also now extinct. In the dense, rain-laced forests of Car Nicobar, the Nicobar sparrowhawk once swept silently beneath the canopy, a swift shadow with sharp eyes and barred wings. This northern subspecies, endemic to a single island, hunted deftly among the tangled green, feeding on small birds and lizards in a delicate dance of balance and precision. But as the forests gave way to settlement and agriculture, its world unraveled, tree by tree, silence replacing song. With its habitat carved into fragments and its numbers dwindling unseen, it vanished quietly. Once roaming the arid shrublands of southern Australia, the southern pig-footed bandicoot was a delicate, hoof-like footed marsupial, unlike any other. Evolved for speed and grazing, it walked on dainty, reduced digits and bore dental traits that set it apart from its northern cousin, hinting at a unique, grass-based diet. This species had swiftly adapted to drying climates, evolving rapidly from its ancestral lineage into a specialized herbivore. But its evolutionary ingenuity couldn't withstand the onslaught of European colonization, habitat destruction from livestock, coupled with the arrival of red foxes and feral cats, drove it to extinction by the early 20th century. It was likely the first of its genus to vanish, an end as quiet and strange as the creature itself. Only bones and faded records remain, whispering of a time when miniature hoofed marsupials grazed the red earth. The Tennessee riffleshell is an extinct species of freshwater mussel in the family Unionidae. Like the other mussel, it was endemic to the United States, from the same regions. Like most other members of its genus, it became extinct due to habitat loss in the form of dam construction, dredging and pollution. This species was particularly sensitive to these effects, and appears to have declined greatly during early industrialization. In the misty forests near Hilo, the greater Amakihi once flitted through the canopy, a vivid flash of yellow and green among the ohia blossoms. With its pale, pointed bill and delicate legs, once said to shimmer blue before fading, it crept through vines in search of insects and sipped nectar under the volcanic sun. Larger than its relatives and seemingly unknown to native Hawaiians, it remained elusive even in life, discovered only in the twilight of its existence. When its final forest refuge was razed for sugarcane fields at the dawn of the 20th century, the species vanished with the trees. Once the sky-darkening terror of the Great Plains, the Rocky Mountain locust moved in numbers that defied imagination, trillions strong, consuming everything from crops to cloth in vast, shimmering swarms. In 1875, one such swarm stretched over 500,000 square meters, a living storm described as a glistening cloud by those who watched it devour the world. Yet, astonishingly, within a few decades, this unstoppable force of nature vanished, last seen alive in 1902, its eggs likely crushed beneath the hooves of livestock and the steel of plows in its Rocky Mountain breeding grounds. Changes in agriculture, including the rise of winter wheat and alfalfa, starved it of food, while the permanent destruction of its reproductive habitat sealed its fate. Amid the wind-lashed cliffs and mossy inlets of the Auckland Islands, the Auckland merganser once dove through frigid waters, a sleek and secretive duck with a reddish-brown head and a sharp, serrated bill built for catching fish. Endemic to just a few subantarctic islands, it was rarely seen, known mostly through fleeting encounters and a handful of collected specimens, the last of which were shot in 1902. Tragically, this isolated bird fell victim to more than harsh weather, relentless hunting and the arrival of rats and cats, brought by ships into its fragile ecosystem, sealed its fate. Even exhaustive searches decades later found only silence where once it swam, a quiet extinction on the edge of the world. The North Island Pio, once a familiar songbird in New Zealand's northern forests, was long mistaken as the same species as its southern relative before differences in appearance and bone structure confirmed its unique identity. This thrush-like bird, described as common in the late 19th century, vanished rapidly from the wild, with the last confirmed specimens collected by the early 1900 years. Its final refuge was likely the dense woodlands of what is now Whanganui National Park, where it quietly faded from memory. The relentless introduction of invasive predators such as cats, rats and mustelids devastated its populations, compounded by habitat loss from expanding human activity. Despite sporadic reported sightings into the mid-20th century, the North Island Pio's song has long since fallen silent. The bulldog rat, once endemic to the dense forests of Christmas Island, was a large, stout rodent with thick, coarse reddish-brown fur and a distinctive layer of fat along its back. It lived in small, ground-based colonies, burrowing among tree roots and hollow logs, and was strictly nocturnal, rarely active during daylight. Though traditionally classified within the genus Ratus, it is now thought to belong to the genus Bunames, more commonly found in Sulawesi. The species vanished abruptly around 1902, likely wiped out by a disease introduced by invasive black rats brought to the island by sailors. The Guadalupe caracara, a striking bird of prey once endemic to Mexico's Guadalupe Island, was closely related to the crested caracara but distinguished by its barred belly and darker upper breast. Described by early observers as fiercely aggressive, it was relentlessly persecuted by goat herders who blamed it for preying on young livestock. This targeted hunting and poisoning campaign, combined with widespread habitat destruction caused by feral goats, led to the bird's rapid extinction by the early 20th century. The stump-toothed minnow is an extinct species of freshwater ray-finned fish belonging to the family Lucicidae, the shiners, daces, and minnows. This species was endemic to Mexico, being found only in the Valle de Paris in the Chihuahuan Desert in Coahuila State. It is thought to have become extinct around 1903. The Choiseul pigeon, a ground-dwelling bird about 30 centimeters long, was distinguished by its striking slate-blue plumage, buffy orange belly and a unique long, rounded crest with a velvety texture. Endemic to the Solomon Islands, it inhabited dense lowland forests where it nested close to the forest floor and lived in small, tame groups that allowed humans to approach closely. Tragically, the introduction of feral cats to Choiseul, combined with habitat destruction, proved catastrophic for this slow-moving pigeon, which had no natural defenses against these new predators. Despite several expeditions searching for it after its discovery in 1904, the species vanished completely. The Japanese wolf, once roaming the misty forests of Honshu, Shikoku, and Kyushu, was a small elusive subspecies of the gray wolf, with short limbs, a lean body and a coarse coat adapted to the mountainous terrain it inhabited. Revered in folklore as the great spirit and guardian of travelers, it straddled the line between deity and predator, its howls echoing both reverence and fear in Shinto cosmology. Genetically distinct from all modern wolves, its mitochondrial lineage marks it as one of the earliest canids to colonize the Japanese archipelago, arriving tens of thousands of years ago and remaining isolated ever since. Yet isolation proved no shield in the modern age. The Meiji era's push for modernization brought with it rabies, canine distemper, and a government-sanctioned extermination campaign fueled by livestock conflicts and a cultural shift away from animistic traditions. By the early 20th century, the wolf once called a divine sentinel was reduced to memory, the last verified specimen killed in 1905. Hybridization with domestic dogs further obscured its legacy, complicating efforts to untangle its identity from that of mountain dog. Today, a few dusty specimens remain in museums, and whispers of its return serve as both haunting myth and unresolved question in Japan's natural history. The South Island Pio was a charming, olive-brown songbird with rufous wings and a speckled breast, renowned for its melodious voice. Unafraid of humans, it was often seen foraging boldly near campsites, a trait that would ultimately hasten its demise. As rats and cats spread across the island with European settlement, the trusting Pio stood little chance, its ground-dwelling habits and ecological naivete making it an easy target. Habitat loss played a lesser but compounding role, slowly unraveling the fragile niche it once called home. Though the last specimen was collected in 1905, whispers of its presence echoed into the 20th century. The Chatham Islands bellbird, a larger cousin of New Zealand's bellbird, was distinguished by its shimmering steel blue crown and a voice once called the sweetest-throated of all the Antipodean songsters. Endemic to the remote Chatham archipelago, it bred in generous nests and filled the coastal forests with a melody now lost to time. Its downfall began silently, likely with the introduction of disease, which decimated the population before more visible threats arrived. The arrival of cats, first on Rangatira in 1831, then Mangere, sealed its fate, preying upon nests and adult birds alike. It was last observed in 1906 on Little Mangere Island. The Guadalupe flicker was once a distinct island dweller, confined to the windswept pines of Guadalupe Island off Baja California. Slightly differing from its mainland relatives, it vanished quietly by 1906, likely swept away by the same wave of ecological collapse that afflicted much of the island's native wildlife. Introduced goats devastated the habitat, while feral cats and competition from mainland flickers sealed its fate. Though its validity as a true subspecies is debated, its silence remains a haunting echo of island fragility. The black mamo, once haunting the shaded undergrowth of Malaca's Pelicuna Valley, was a striking bird, ink-black with faded white wing feathers, a flash of yellow at the base of its long, sickle-shaped bill, and often a dusting of golden pollen from its favored lobelia blooms. Males bore longer, more deeply curved bills than females, a sexual dimorphism suited to their specialized nectar feeding. Its voice, a series of nasal whistles and tremulous trills, echoed through the upland forests like a distant flute. Yet this delicate bird was no match for the changes wrought by colonization. Feral cattle and deer tore apart the understory it depended on, while rats and mongooses plundered nests with impunity. Discovered in 1893 and named for its somber appearance, the species vanished just 14 years later, the last specimen collected in 1907 under grim and reluctant circumstances. Despite scattered searches into the 20th century, the forest has remained silent ever since, its mourning bird lost to time. The huia, a striking emblem of New Zealand's avian heritage, was a bird of unique biological and ecological traits. Noted for its remarkable sexual dimorphism, the male's robust, chisel-like bill contrasted sharply with the female's long, curved beak, each adapted to exploit different insect prey within the decaying wood of ancient forests. This species was primarily sedentary, likely migrating seasonally between montane summer habitats and lowland refuges in winter, relying on powerful legs for agile movement through dense forest canopies rather than sustained flight. The huia's extinction was chiefly driven by extensive deforestation of old-growth forests, eroding its specialized habitat filled with the wood-boring larvae it depended on, coupled with intense hunting pressure from collectors captivated by its beauty and rarity. Introduced predators such as rats, cats and mustelids further accelerated its decline, preying heavily on this ground-foraging bird. Despite sporadic conservation efforts, the huia succumbed to a confluence of human-driven habitat destruction, invasive species, and exploitation, symbolizing a tragic loss in New Zealand's natural legacy. Relicula extinctus, a now extinct species of Telopterid louse, was an intimate parasite uniquely tied to the huia. Endemic to this region, the louse shared not only the habitat but also the fate of its host, vanishing as the huya disappeared from existence. Initially classified in its own genus, it has since been reclassified as a subgenus within Relicola, reflecting its close evolutionary relationship. Its extinction serves as a stark reminder of how specialized parasitic species can be irrevocably lost alongside their hosts, underscoring the fragile interconnectedness of ecosystems. Assumption rail was a flightless subspecies of the white-throated rail, once inhabiting Aldabra atoll with a distinctive, robust body adapted to a predator-free environment. Its grounded nature and lack of fear made it especially vulnerable when invasive species, such as rats and cats, were introduced to its fragile island ecosystem. Classified as a subspecies of Dryolimnus cuvieri, its extinction highlights the devastating impact of human-introduced predators on isolated island fauna. Its disappearance stands as a poignant example of how even subtle ecological imbalances can swiftly erase unique forms of life. Siquijor hanging parrot, the vanished subspecies of the Philippine hanging parrot, once thrived in the lush forests of Siquijor Island, where it skillfully foraged for nectar, flowers, and soft fruits high in the canopy. Known for its unique nesting behavior, the female ingeniously tucked nesting material between her feathers to line the cavity nests, a rare trait among parrots. Despite the species' general adaptability, this island subspecies succumbed to intense pressures from habitat loss and relentless trapping for the pet trade. The added threat of hybridization with escaped captive birds has likely erased any remaining pure populations, marking a silent extinction born from human influence. Persoonia laxa was a rare, spreading shrub native to the Sydney region, known only from two early 20th century specimens and characterized by its smooth bark and distinctive individual flowers subtended by leaves. It inhabited low-altitude heath and dry eucalypt woodlands on sandstone or sandy coastal soils, environments now largely transformed by urban expansion. Despite its inclusion in the Lanceolata group of closely related species, little is known about its biology due to limited observations before its disappearance. Ultimately, habitat destruction from land development in the rapidly urbanized northern beaches area likely sealed the fate of this enigmatic plant, leading to its official extinction. The extinct subspecies Alejandro Selkirk firecrown once inhabited the Juan Fernandez Islands, where it led a mostly sedentary life, moving across the island in search of nectar-rich flowers like Raphythymnus venustus and Sonchus brassicifolius. This vibrant hummingbird foraged by clinging to shaded blossoms and supplemented its diet with small insects, defending territorial feeding grounds with notable aggression, especially among males. Its extinction is largely attributed to habitat degradation and the loss of native plants crucial for feeding and nesting, a tragic outcome for this jewel of island biodiversity. The Dawson's caribou, a unique population of woodland caribou, once roamed Graham Island in the Haida Gwaii archipelago off British Columbia's coast. Despite thousands of years of indigenous presence, little was known about this elusive animal until George Mercer Dawson documented it in 1878, leading to its formal description in 1900. Smaller than mainland caribou and possibly pale in color due to insular dwarfism, the Dawson's caribou had distinctively reduced and oddly shaped antlers. It inhabited muskegs and open woodlands, with only the Haida Gwaii black bear as a natural predator. The introduction of black-tailed deer and habitat destruction through logging placed immense pressure on the population by increasing competition and causing significant habitat loss. Additionally, hunting for pelts by settlers and indigenous people further decimated their numbers. The last confirmed sighting occurred in 1908, and despite occasional unconfirmed tracks found later, the population was declared extinct by the 1930 years. Cumberland leafshell is an extinct species of freshwater mussel in the family Unionidae. This species was endemic to the drainages of the Cumberland and the Tennessee rivers in the United States. Its natural habitat was riffle areas in large to medium-sized rivers. Like most other members of this sensitive genus, it became extinct due to habitat destruction and pollution. The last documented occurrence of this species was in 1909. The Bogotá sun angel is a mysterious hummingbird known from a single specimen collected in Bogotá in 1909, characterized by its dark bluish-black plumage, forked dark purple tail, and bright green gorget. Believed to inhabit degraded cloud forests in Colombia's Andes, its exact origin remains uncertain, with some suggesting it may be a hybrid rather than a distinct species. Phylogenetic studies place it near mid to high elevation Andean hummingbirds, and recent evidence supports the hybrid theory involving Aglaia kingii. Despite some taxonomic debates, it remains an enigmatic figure in hummingbird taxonomy and conservation. The tarpan was a wild horse native to the vast steppes and forest edges of Eastern Europe and Western Asia, known for its sturdy build and distinctive, dun-colored coat with a dorsal stripe and often faint zebra-like leg barring. This elusive equid, considered the wild ancestor of many modern domestic horses, measured roughly 150 centimeters at the shoulder and displayed a robust physique adapted to the harsh climates of its native habitats. Taxonomically, the tarpan is classified as a subspecies of the wild horse, closely related to the now extinct wild subspecies and to the domesticated horse lineage. Its biology reflected a grazing lifestyle, thriving on grasses and shrubs across open landscapes, and it likely formed small herds with complex social structures akin to modern wild horses. The history of the tarpan's extinction is a poignant tale intertwined with human expansion and environmental change. By the 18th and 19th centuries, habitat loss due to agricultural development and deforestation drastically reduced its range, while intense hunting for meat and hides further pressured the dwindling populations. Interbreeding with domestic horses also blurred the genetic distinctiveness of the tarpan, making pure wild individuals increasingly rare. The last captive tarpan died around 1909, marking the extinction of a symbol of Europe's wild equine heritage. Despite its disappearance, the tarpan's legacy endures in conservation efforts and breeding back programs aiming to recreate its phenotype through selective breeding of domestic horses. Through these attempts, the memory of the tarpan lives on, reminding us of the delicate balance between nature and human influence, and the irreversible consequences of extinction.